Carissima Maureen, may the memories that you're about to see be cherished forever after. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank your husband, Simon, to organize such a most enriched evening. Yes, it was a total success. Bravo to you, Simon. Enjoy.
Welcome everyone to a very special Toastmasters event. This meeting is being hosted by the only dining club in District 61, a matter of taste Toastmasters, and the only advanced club in the Ottawa Valley, Valley Vintage Advanced. And in addition to that, we're pleased to welcome guests from many other clubs across Ottawa and all the way from Kingston to Montreal. So we have quite a group here this evening. I would like to, oh yes, and we have a few future Toastmasters too who aren't quite members yet. So that always rounds out a meeting when you have a few non-Toastmasters in the group. That's great. So I'm just going to do a few introductions now. There will be some introductions later as people speak. But I want to introduce some people that you may not know and some people that you know very well. Now, some people that you may not know is our guests from Montreal. We have Ricardo Didone, who's signing a card right there. Ricardo. And our cameraman, Patrizio Romanini. This is the Italian connection for the Italian restaurant, you see. And of course, not of course, but we must highlight the fact that we have our immediate past District Governor, Brian Sutton. District Director. It used to be IPDG, now it's IPDD. And we have our newly minted District Director, Brian McDonald. And we have a brand new member, well, we have two brand new members of A Matter of Taste, Bob Lyle and Michael over here, so please give them a hand. Michael Arthur. And we have two guests who are good friends of Maureen and I, who aren't Toastmasters yet. Well, actually, she was a Toastmaster once for a while. Lori and Les Schinder. Okay. So this evening we will be inspired by Toastmaster, entrepreneur, and successful businessman, Alfonso Quadra. And we will also hear from several speakers who will help us to celebrate Maureen's retirement. Now, I expect the question that I've had all evening, and that the ones that might be on your minds if you haven't asked it yet, is how is Maureen? Well, she is out of the ICU. She's in a regular hospital room, and she's recuperating. So it'll take her maybe a couple of weeks yet to get back to herself, but she's doing quite well compared to what she was a couple of weeks ago. So everything's going fine. She knows we're here tonight, and she's glad that we're having this event, partly for her, and we're going to have a chance later to speak on the video afterwards. If you want to say a few words to Maureen, hi, happy retirement, whatever, we'll record that and we'll make it on a video for her. Now, for the speakers, there's a microphone here, a wireless mic that hooks up to the camera, but it doesn't have a wide range. So when you're speaking, you can get beside the lectern here and maybe beside the lectern here, but don't go too far because it won't pick up your voice otherwise. Enough about me. Enough of me. Let's get the meeting started. And we're going to kick off the program by having our word of the day. So I'm going to ask Muriel Howe to present us with our word.
Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. I thought about this word a lot. I considered the word retirement, but my computer actually came up with words like fall back, withdraw, pull out. I've never heard of anything so negative for retirement. So I believe retirement brings out new ideas and is a positive time of life. So thinking of Maureen recovering and regaining strength after such a terrible sickness, I have chosen the word rejuvenation. Rejuvenation in all its various connotations, rejuvenesce, rejuva something or other, rejuvenize, meaning of course restore, refresh, invigorate, and breathing life into. So in the coming weeks, Maureen will be rejuvenated, and she will assuredly be rejuvenesced. Now, since it is the 8th day of the 7th month, I challenge you all to use the word in one of its connotations, and that I expect to hear the tinkle of glasses 15 times. 7 and 8 to me makes 15. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Muriel. We will all be rejuvenated after tonight, for sure. And now for a little bit of humor, I would like you to welcome a member from Visionaries Advanced, Lawrence Seinchuk.
Greetings. My name is Lawrence. Maybe you didn't probably realize that I'm a member of a band, The Missing Cat. You've maybe seen our posters around? Oh, that was a little joke. The story I have concerns rejuvenation. It was a school class was getting a tour of the hospital, and they moved into the section where they fix broken bones. And the doctor asked the kids who were 5, 6, 7 years old, he says, anybody here ever broken a bone? And one little girl puts her hands up and says, well, I did. I broke my broken arm once. And the doctor says, oh, did it hurt? And the little girl says, no. And he's, well, how come? And she says, well, it was my sister's arm.
Thank you, Lawrence. And now for our toast. Our toast tonight is going to be presented by Bob Lyle. Bob joined the Matter of Taste this year in June, just last month, and his toast is based on the Advanced Manual Special Occasion Speeches. His time is 2 to 3 minutes, so please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Bob Lyle.
Thank you, Chair, fellow members, and welcome guests. We're gathered here tonight to pay tribute to Maureen Whittaker on the occasion of her retirement. Now, fortunately for us, she might be retiring from Statistics Canada, but fortunately for us, she's not retiring from Toastmasters. I would like to share with you some of my impressions of Maureen and her leadership abilities. I first met Maureen 20 years ago when I was an area director. One of my clubs happened to be the Statistiques Canada club, which was a pleasant coincidence because this was the home club of Simon Parcher, and Simon Parcher was the area director of my home club when I first joined Toastmasters. Now, in addition to frequent visits to my area clubs, I also visited some other clubs that year. One of them was the Carlingwood Club, which meets Monday nights. During the break, I met a woman who she said her name was Maureen, and she worked at Statistics Canada. Oh, I said, did you know that there's a Toastmasters club that meets at Statistics Canada? She said, yes, she did know that. But she felt she had specific goals in mind, and she felt the Carlingwood Club was better able to meet those goals. I said, well, since you work at Statistics Canada, perhaps you know Simon Parcher. And she said, as a matter of fact, she did know him. Well, in the following years, I got to know both Maureen and Simon very well. We carpooled to regional conferences. We met at district conferences. We attended many contests and other district functions. And And they were all great fun. Now, when Maureen was an area director, one of her clubs was a club I had sponsored some years earlier, the Ottawa Club. Now, after 10 years, the Ottawa Club had run out of steam. So I observed Maureen apply her leadership abilities to rejuvenate that club and make it recognized as distinguished club once again. She applied those same leadership abilities to several other clubs. Now, I don't know how many, but I know it is a great number. I'm thinking particularly of clubs like Deep River, Renfrew, Valley Vintage, and other clubs. And what Maureen did is she organized those clubs to mentor and support each other and to grow and rejuvenate. Now, Toastmasters International is widely recognized as a public speaking organization. Maureen told me she doesn't particularly like speaking in public. But if there's a leadership role to be filled, then Maureen's your man. So, Toastmasters and guests, please join me in a toast to Maureen. Charge your glasses, rise, and join me in a toast to Maureen Whittaker and her leadership excellence. Maureen Whittaker and her leadership excellence. Thank you, Chair.
And now, while we're waiting for dinner, we're going to do table topics. I don't know who the victims are yet, but I guess we'll find out. Please welcome our new District Director, Brian McDonald.
I think I'll start way over there. Tracy, why don't you come up and be a victim? Tracy, your topic tonight is, I know I will be bored when I retire, so I will get a job as a...
rock star! Because nothing is more sexy than a retired rock star, don't you think? I mean, I can't play any instruments, and I don't really sing. So, detective! I'll be a detective. I will go out into the world and I will solve crimes, but yeah, no, I'm not really good at solving things and I don't have a lot of patience. So, you know, I'm thinking I might just be gorgeous. You know, just be gorgeous. I mean, why not? Because that takes skill. I mean, there's a lot of time and effort that's into that, but yeah, I don't really care about stuff like that. So, motivational speaker. Yay! I will go out into the world and I will motivate others to be as great as they can be. Or, no, you know what? I'm just not going to retire. Forget it. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who would like to be in the middle table, the next volunteer? We'll move up to voluntold. All right, we'll just move on to the next table. Muriel, come on up. Muriel, your question tonight is, since I retired, I never have time to...
Since I retired, I never have time to do anything. I mean, when you retire, what do? You do nothing. And if you do nothing, you don't have time to do anything. So all I can say to anyone who isn't retired or who wants to retire, the best thing is to retire and do nothing. Because then the days will pass and you think you're doing so much. At least, that's not really what happens to me, of course. But the trouble is, if you play tennis, and if you join Toastmasters, and if you sail, and if you have a crazy dog who insists on being walked miles every day, you really don't have time to do much. So all I can say is, when you retire, find lots of things to do, really enjoy yourself, enjoy every moment, and then every day will go so quickly, you won't even know when you're 100 years old.
Fiona's having so much fun here tonight. She's coming up to be a table topic. Come on up, Fiona. I just love to catch you off guard. And tonight your question is, the funniest retirement party story I have ever heard is...
Excuse me.
The funniest.
Around here?
The funniest
Around
retirement
here.
story. I don't know, I'm so
I've
far
never
away
heard.
from retirement. No, quite honestly, at work, the people are retiring left, right, and center. I work for the government. And I'm so surprised because I'm seeing people in their late 40s that are retiring. And I said, well, how old were you when you started here? And they would say, well, quite young, like 17, and they'd been working there for over 30 years. And I said, good golly, I've only been 2 years at the government. If I tack on 28 years to me, I'll be 83. So, and that would be a funny retirement party, I can tell you, because I don't think there are many people who would be silly enough to stay with the government till they're 83. So I haven't had the privilege yet to attend many retirement parties. And I don't know if I would consider it necessarily a funny event. I would consider it a fun event, particularly if the person was looking forward and they had made the decision to retire. But to say that I can even start to think about funny, unless you turned it into a roast. And let me tell you, when you retire from being district director, that will be a funny retirement party.
Lynn, it's your turn. Come on up and have some fun with this question. When I retire, we know you're so busy, but when you retire, you're going to join the ranks of authors of the Get Rich Screams, and yours will be...
When I retire, fellow Toastmasters, I'm already retired, and I'm definitely not the author of any book on getting rich. I, strangely enough, do not want to be rich when it comes to money. If I were to write a book on getting rich and a scheme to get rich, I would talk about how to make my life rich in other ways. And that would be getting up every morning early, even though right now I get up late. Getting up really early just as the sun rises and going down to the Ottawa River and watch the sunrise. I would sit on a park bench in the gazebo in Arnprior and I would meditate for at least half an hour. This would start my day off in a very rich way because I can look across the river at Quebec, listen to the birds, feel the breeze off the Ottawa River on my face. And to me, that is what life is, being rich, not necessarily having money. The rest of my day, in Arnprior is a beautiful place to have rich experiences. I would meander over to Gillies Grove, and I don't know if you're aware of Gillies Grove. It was actually mentioned in the Ottawa Citizen for having the largest white pine tree in all of Ontario. Gillies Grove is probably about 100 acres of forest with trails, totally preserved, and it's a beautiful place. I would walk through there. That would add richness to my life. I could sit there, I could wander around on the trails, look at the river again from a different viewpoint. There's lovely rocks there and logs that you can sit on. I would continue my day doing this, and I would have to spend time on the golf course, of course, because that's where the rich people hang out, right? On the golf course. And I now am a member, and I have a cart rental included in my membership, and I can golf every day of the week except the weekend, and have an electric cart and ride around with my friends and play golf. And to me, today I saw 2 turkeys, I saw a mother deer and a fawn, and I've seen other creatures as well. So if I wrote a book on richness and retirement, I would say forget about the money, just appreciate life.
Simon, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brian. Wasn't that great? Topics on retirement. Phew. I'm retired 4 years now, but I'm just as busy, of course, as I used to be. So now I say I'm semi-retired, because I'm not totally retired. Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to enjoy dinner, and then we'll have some after-dinner speakers. Some wonderful, superb after-dinner speakers. We'll come back after we're done eating. I hope you enjoyed your dinner as much as I did. It was excellent. Wow. Well, now it's after dinner, so it's time for our after-dinner speakers. And we have more than one today. But first, we have our keynote speaker, our special speaker for the evening, Alfonso Quadra, distinguished Toastmaster Alfonso Quadra. He is a dynamic leader who is passionate about sharing his story and inspiring others to create the life they want and to never give up their dreams. He truly is in the business of changing lives and has a special gift in his ability to connect with people and move them forward. I'm going to go through a list of his accomplishments and his experience. Alfonso is President and CEO of the Quadra Group Incorporated. He has shared his story with thousands of audiences around the world. He's a dedicated father of 2 girls, a respected entrepreneur, a professional speaker, TV host, successful coach, author, and real estate investor. He was featured in Reader's Digest, which did a 7-page profile that was published in 16 countries in 5 different languages. He's a TV host and producer of a Rogers TV Channel 22 show called Success by Design Show. And it's now going on season 4. So if you're in Ottawa and if you have Rogers Cable, tune in. He's founder and editor-in-chief of Success by Design magazine. He's author of the book From the Ground Up, You're 3 steps away from living the life of your dreams. And also there's a movie in the works on this book. Alfonso is creator of Success by Design Academy, including workshops on real estate, master goal setting, and sales. And he believes that with the right mindset, with the right mindset, anyone can take charge of their life and design their own success. The timing is 13 to 15 minutes. Please welcome Alfonso Quadra with his presentation entitled How to Achieve Transformational Change in Your Life and Career.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, have you ever had a dream or a goal or something you thought you deserved, but you've talked yourself out of it? Raise your hand if you've talked yourself out of something you've wanted. Why do we do this? Why? Why do we do this?
Fear of failure?
Fear. We're afraid. Sometimes we get in our own way, don't we? If you can do me a favor and look to your neighbor, to your left, I guess, look to your neighbor and grab their hand for a second. Grab the hand of the neighbor to your left and look into their eyes. Look into their eyes. Well, then you just go both ways. But you're gonna repeat after me. You're gonna repeat after me. The very best possibilities in your life.
The very best possibilities in your life
are coming your way.
are coming your way.
Whatever you want, Wants you. So get out of the way. Give yourselves a hand of applause, please. We do get in our own way. Today I want to share with you a story, a personal story that I've shared with people around the world, a personal story of mine, but then we'll get into some tangible things that you can use and apply to your life right away in order to create that transformational change we're talking about and also get out of your own way. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
How many people here remember being 15 years old? To some, you might have you were already there, but some maybe it's a long time ago. I'm sorry to say that.
That me.
No, you were just there. That was me. I was 15 years old, homeless, a high school dropout, and I was panhandling for change on Rideau Street, downtown Ottawa. I was the kind of kid that at some point, all of us have walked by and said, there goes another lost soul. At 15, I had a lot to be angry about. I was angry at my governments, all the war and injustice, at my teachers. The education system had failed me. My parents. My dad left me when I was 2 years old. The world. I was angry at the people in the world. I remember at 15 years old thinking, if everybody in the whole entire world would just change, I would be okay. And we've all felt that way at some point. If this happened, if I had a better job, or if I had a raise, we've all thought about that at one point. I was born in El Salvador, San Salvador in 1977, during the Civil War. My mom was owner and director of API News Agency, a news agency that would often report about civil rights abuses being committed by our government. Governments don't like that. Eventually, she was completely shut down and illegally detained and put in prison, waiting for a sentencing that could keep her there for over 30 years. I was 2 years old at the time, and I went to live with my grandparents, where they kept me in hiding for fear of kidnapped by our government. Now, if you guys have any kids at home, imagine 3, 4 years old, they're not allowed going outside, and that was my life. I was not allowed going out, interacting with other kids. I'd never even seen a park. I was pretty much a prisoner myself. Now, thanks to some government entities, some international organizations like Amnesty International, my mom was actually freed and given asylum to come to Montreal. And when we came here, it was a pretty big story. New York Times, Miami Herald, it went all over. And our government actually sent death squads to find us here in Montreal. So we're chased and harassed all over Montreal. We had to stay in women's shelter until it was no longer safe for us to be in Canada, if you can imagine. We went back home to Central America, a country called Nicaragua. Do you guys remember Nicaragua? Beautiful country, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, well, yeah. Beautiful, and we would have stayed, but if you guys remember some of the turmoil in those countries in the 80s, los Sandinistas and the Contras, there was another war that broke out in that country, and we were on the run once again. So between the ages of 2 to 9, I spent it hiding from governments, going from country to country, running away from wars, until we actually decided to come back to Canada in '86. I was 9 years old. I'll never forget it. We landed in Vancouver, BC, and we were put in a motel with a lot of other landing refugees. And that's where I saw a colored television for the very first time in my life. And I remember the abundance of Canada. I remember the feeling that anything is possible here. We were given food, shelter, clothing. And I remember thinking, wow, these Canadian people are nice. Sort of like how the Syrians are coming in now. I remember thinking, at 9 years old, I think we must be rich now. But it didn't take me long to figure out how low we were on the income ladder when it came to Canadian standards. School for me was tough. I missed a lot of educational opportunities moving around so much. And by the time they discovered I had some learning disabilities, I was already in grade 7. They said, Alfonso, you have dyslexia, ADHD. and a speech impediment. I was unable to form my words. They said, you probably won't make it academically. You should start working with your hands. You're probably good at that. I said, how do you know? And we've all had somebody in our lives trying to determine what we're supposed to do with our lives. Eventually, I got angry and frustrated, and I dropped out of high school at 15 years old. And because of some conflict at home, I left home as well. Now I'm 15 years old, completely homeless. I had some dark times, but I'll never forget those times on the streets. To my lowest point, actually panhandling for change on Rideau Street, downtown Ottawa. My turning point came at 17, when my girlfriend at the time tells me she's pregnant, it's mine, and she's keeping the baby. Now, we can all agree that 17 years old, it's too young to be thinking about being a father. But all I remember is my dad left me at 2. I wasn't going to repeat it. But it wasn't until that day, in that hospital room, when the nurse walked in and she put my daughter in my arms, everything changed. Everything. That day, I discovered purpose. Raise your hand if you discovered purpose yet. Yeah. A purpose powerful enough will make you unstoppable. This beautiful little girl, 8 pounds, curly hair, Talia. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. That day I went into the bathroom, I looked myself directly into the mirror and said, Alfonso, you have to change. I wanted my daughter to be proud of me. I wanted her to say, my dad owns the building, not my dad cleans the building or is incarcerated in the building. I decided to go back to high school. I graduated high school at 19 years old with a vision, a dream, and an idea of having my own business, a clothing store. But after you get out of your own way, your second obstacle will be who? The people around you. And they will say,
you can't do that.
Alfonso, what are you talking about? You have no money, no education, no business background, no history, nobody to back you up. How in the world are you going to have a business? And I said, maybe you're right. So I stopped asking if I should open a business, and I started telling people that I was going to open a business. I told over 100 people. Some people chipped in and helped out. I managed to raise $2,700 thanks to friends. I spent more than that on gas last year. It's not much. It's not much. $2,700. To make a long story short, I took those $2,700 and I turned it into a company grossing in the millions with locations across Canada, manufacturing our own brands and products in China, bringing those products here, distributing those products throughout Canada. And I fell in love with being an entrepreneur. But the real question that I've come here to ask you is, how did I go from being a 15-year-old, war-torn, homeless high school dropout to managing a successful corporation before the age of 20? Such a short amount of time, such a huge transformational change. Did I get lucky? Did the governments change? Did my teachers change? Did the people change like I wanted them to at 15 years old? I discovered that for things to change, first I had to change. I discovered that, powered with a powerful purpose, that for things to change in my life, first I had to change. Currently, I'm living my dream life. I can't even believe that I'm living it. But now my daughter is 21. If you can imagine, Algonquin, beautiful lady, but it was when she was about 11 years old that I overheard her speaking to her friend. And she said, you know, my dad owns the building? That's when I knew how powerful purpose can be, because a purpose powerful enough will make you unstoppable. Now, over 20 years of business, trial and error, becoming a personal development junkie, I've narrowed it down to 3 simple steps that anybody can follow in order to live their life of their dreams, in order to live their success by design, in order to have that transformational change. You see, the current you, in your current results, and the you that is living that life of your dreams are 2 completely different people. Jim Rohn said, success is what you attract by the person you become. Now, I've come to share these 3 steps. Are you ready for the 3 steps? Yeah. If you're ready, say, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
No, come on, you got to be ready. If you're ready, say, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, you're going to want to write these down. Step number 1, you need to figure out exactly what do you want. You see, people don't even know what they want. You ask people what they want. I don't know what I want. It needs to be very specific, and it needs to be in extreme detail, and you need to write it down. You want to know how powerful writing things down is? When I was 17 years old, I did this by default. But I got a job as a dishwasher because my daughter was born. I wanted to change my life. And has any dishwashers here ever in your life? Okay? No, it doesn't count. The people that are dishwashers, you know that you're pretty much at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to the restaurant business. You like that food chain restaurant business. But you're at the very bottom, and every day to keep myself motivated, I would go to the back and I would write down a list of goals and dreams and things that I wanted in my life. I would do this every day. One day a line cook came back there, and he ripped the paper out of my hands, and he started to read out loud in that room to everybody there my goals and dreams, almost like making fun of me. But the real funny thing was that I achieved everything on that piece of paper before I turned 20 years old. I had to rewrite my goals. That's the power of writing things down, because it makes it real, and it makes it a commitment to yourself. Also, there needs to be balance. It can't just be about Ferraris and X amount of dollars. Actually, who wants a Ferrari? Raise your hand. Who would like a Ferrari? Okay, we're going to get you one. But it can't be all about that. There has to be educational goals, social contribution goals, family goals, relationship goals, spiritual goals, financial, and you can add some toys and fun into that, of course. But you need to have balance, because if you don't have balance, what you have is discord, and you'll be moving away further from the things that you want. Step number 2, figure out who is the you that is living this life of your dreams. Who is the you that has all this stuff that you want? Who is the you that you need to become in order to be a match to those things that you want? You see, everybody's goals are up here, and their dreams are up here, and everything they want is up here. But there's still this type of person. If you want more, you simply must become more to be a match to the things that you want. And it needs to be very specific, and it needs to be very detailed. Who are you? Who do you need to become? How do you walk? How do you talk? Who do you know? What do you know? What kind of books do you read? How do you take care of your health? Who do you need to become? Remember what I said before? The current you and your current results in the you that is living that life of your dreams are 2 completely different people. If you want more, you simply must become more. But it needs to be from your perspective of success, not anybody else's. To some, success might mean riding a Harley down an open road with the wind in your hair. To others, it could mean wearing a blazer and running a company. It needs to be from your perspective of success. Step number 3, which is the most important step, because you can't have a 3-step process with only 2 steps. I'm just testing that. I'm testing if you guys are listening. But step number 3, you ready? Yes. If you're ready, say I'm ready. I'm ready. That's what I like. Step number 3, become that person now. When? Now. When? Now. This very second. the second you decide to become, that's when you have the power to move mountains. You see, everybody wants to have it, but they're unwilling to become it. I go outside right now, ask 1,000 people, do you want everything you've ever wanted? What do you think they would say? Yes. Of course, everybody wants what they want, what they wanted. But guess what? They're unwilling to become it. You need to be it first, then you will have it. You see, once you decide to become, you start to attract the right people, the right circumstances, the right ideas, the right working scenarios, the right imagination to match the person you've just become. Success is what you attract by the person you become. Find your purpose. Figure out exactly what you want. It needs to be in extreme detail, and write it down. And figure out who you need to become to be a match to that. And become that person now. When? Now. This very second. You see, the power of overcoming obstacles, in living that life of your dreams, in really creating that transformational change is in your hands. The power of change is in your hands. Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Alfonso.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
In appreciation, a little gift for you.
Thank you so much.